Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. I really hope that each one of you is in the best of your health. The topic I have for today is actually quite interesting. So what we're discussing today is the most dangerous criminals to ever make to FBI's most wanted list. Since 1950, the Federal Bureau of Investigation publishes an updated annual list of their most wanted fugitives. And according to the FBI's website, it all began with a question by a reporter from the International News Service. This reporter basically submitted to FBI a request for a list of the names and descriptions of the toughest guys currently on the run from justice. Since its inception and this recording, 521 men and women have made to the FBI's most wanted list, no children yet. And of all of them, a whopping 486 have already been captured or located. That's a good news though. But anyway, you have to be a pretty bad dude to make it to that list. The cold-blooded killer turned ghost. One of the first people to make to the FBI's illustrious list was James Addy Diggs. On the contrary, he seemed to be just like a normal guy because he had a family and he had two young sons as well. But around 1949, the neighbors say that the home became not so happy one, with Diggs frequently engaging in drink and shout routine after coming back home from work as a mechanic at a Navy base in Norfolk, Virginia. The authorities say that around 7 a.m. in the morning on 26th of May of that year, Diggs snapped, shooting and killing his wife and children before pulling a long week disappearing act. This turned out to be a warm-up for a much longer act as Diggs temporarily resurfaced about a week later for an extremely brief period of time. That is to say, the time it took for him to get pulled over by a police officer. And then Diggs just went into the woods. Diggs has not been found ever since. Whatever caused him to get all shooty at his home remains a mystery. He was eventually removed from the list in 1961 as it was assumed that he was probably dead by then. Next comes the ultimate horror show. There are wild, sadistic killers and then there's Charles N.J., who along with his buddy Leonard Lake was arrested by the FBI for stealing guns in 1981. N.J. was sent to the prison for 3 years but Lake made bail and went into the hiding at a remote cabin of the type that you have seen in a million horror movies. The resemblance would grow even stronger after N.J.'s release after 3 years. After his release, he joined Lake at the cabin and the two promptly constructed a torture/murder chamber. The maniacs eluded the attention of the authorities until they were observed again stealing a bench vise from a lumberyard. This was because they had broken their old one in the course of torturing one of their victims. NJ went on the run while Lake was arrested, who committed suicide while taking a short break from his investigation. NJ quickly made to the FBI's most wanted list but was caught when he attempted to shoot a security guard at a Calgary department store where he was once again trying to shoplift. At his trial in 1998, he was found guilty of 12 murders, thanks largely to the fact that he and Lake had videotaped many of their crimes. After his trial, he was sent with all due haste to death row where he remains today. Next I have extraordinary spree killer. Alton Coleman was actually locked up for a murder in early 70s and considering his intentions, he should never have been let out. A prison psychiatrist determined that he was willing to have intercourse with any object, women, men, children, whatever, which is disturbing enough already. He served only a few years and was acquitted of more murder charges in 1976 and 1980. This was likely a titanic failure of the justice system, though it's tough to say that anyone could have predicted what happened next. In 1983, he was about to stand trial for murder yet again. He joined up with his girlfriend Deborah Brown to embark on a multi-state 2-month murder spree that left 8 people dead, including several young girls. He was considered so dangerous that the FBI created an extra special 11th slot on their most wanted list just for him. When he was finally apprehended, a few changes of clothes and a knife was literally the only things in his possession. Eventually, both Coleman as well as Brown received death sentences, although Brown was eventually commuted because of her low IQ. As for Coleman, he was executed by a lethal injection in 2002. Next comes the violently departed. The infamous mob boss James Whitey Bulger is one of the few to spend nearly as much time as an FBI informant. His career as a hood stretched back to 1950s. Significant to say, he was the inspiration of Jack Nicholson's character in The Departed movie, and the movie was probably a bit kind in its description of him. He began cooperating with the FBI in 1975, but such was his love for extortion and killings that he eventually gave up his double life, going on the run in 1994 rather than allowing himself to be arrested on suspicion of being involved in 19 murders. Bulger was a mainstay of the most wanted list until his capture in 2011 in Santa Monica in California, where he was living in a tiny apartment under an assumed name with hundreds and thousands of dollars in cash to keep him company. He was found guilty in 2013 with no fewer than 11 killings, for which he was slapped with 2 life sentences, plus 5 years for good measure. He was brutally murdered in prison in 2018. Next comes the bloody bomber of the South. We have all heard the phrase Mad Bomber, but only few fit the description like Eric Rudolph. He is best known as the guy behind the 1996 bombing of the Atlanta's Continental Olympic Park during the Summer Games, which actually killed 2 people and injured more than 100 people. But that was only the beginning of his bombing spree. He targeted an abortion clinic in Atlanta suburbs the very next year. In this instance, he also planted secondary bombs intended to kill the main responders to the scene. Next, he set sights at yet another women's clinic in Birmingham, Alabama. And while it was successful, the security guard of the clinic got killed in his bombing. He detonated the bomb by a remote so he could watch the proceedings, and the witnesses identified his pickup truck at the scene. His evil face was added to the most wanted list, but he managed to hide until 2003, when a rookie cop happened to catch him digging in a dumpster outside of North Carolina's grocery store. He pleaded guilty for all 4 bombings and he was sent to prison for 4 life sentences with no possibility of parole. So ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this video as well. There is a second part of this video because this video is getting too long. You can watch that video as well, and like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel for more such videos. Also press the bell icon so that you could get notified every time a new video is uploaded. Tell me in the comment section down below if you also witnessed something strange.